The victors of the Hunger Games, although there are no actual victors in these games, because the Hunger Games is built on cruelty and control. Today we are still going to talk about the victors. Not victors in the emotional sense, not winners in the moral sense, but the people who were handed the illusion of victory across the entire Hunger Games timeline. This analysis is based on book canon and some of my theories derived from it. And the first victor that matters to us is Lucy Gray Baird from the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. But before Lucy Gray, there were other victors. They were just forgotten. They didn't become mentors. They didn't become celebrities. They didn't become the Capitol's long-term propaganda tool. They disappeared into history because the system wasn't finished yet. Before Lucy Gray, the games had winners, yes, but the victor to mentorship system was yet to be formed. In the 10th Hunger Games, the mentors weren't victors, they were Capitol Academy students, which didn't make sense because if the Hunger Games were meant to be preserved through time, mentorship needed to be effective. And those academy mentors were a disaster because they didn't have the same background as the tribute. They couldn't relate, they couldn't connect. They didn't understand hunger, fear, district life, or survival, except for one person, Coriolanus Snow. Because he was smart and understood what it takes. He was one of the only mentors who actually understood what to do with a tribute, although his cousin Tigress lent him a little bit of humanity for that. Yes, his tribute won through cheating, but let's be real. What is honest about these games? And this is the exact moment where I believe the Hunger Games changed forever. In my theory, I believe Coriolanus Snow served as the blueprint for the transition that turned victors into mentors. Let me explain why. Snow was not a tribute, but he was still a victor. Because his games were outside the arena. Coriolanus Snow was a victor in Dr. Volumina Gaull's games, the games that weren't televised as a Hunger Games arena, but were still structured like one. To Dr. Gaull, Panem itself is an arena. Everyone in it is playing a game, whether they realize it or not. She is the game maker not only of the Hunger Games, but of Panem as a whole. And Dr. Gaull chose Snow to play her games outside the arena, and he won. He won the moment he betrayed Sejanus Plinth and abandoned Lucy Gray to choose self-preservation. He conquered love, he conquered friendship. He chose self-preservation over morality. When Coriolanus returned, Dr. Gaull called him my victor. Just like tribute, Coriolanus was tested. His morality was pushed. His loyalty were examined. And in the end, he chose himself. This is how he won. And this is exactly what happens in the arena most times. And his vacation to the district, his time in District 12 was also a way of connecting to district life. And after that, either Dr. Gaull or Coriolanus himself likely reached a conclusion. To be an effective mentor, you must have been in the games to understand the arena. And you must be from the district to inspire emotion, loyalty, and trust. That combination creates influence, and that is why I believe Coriolanus Snow became the blueprint for the victor to mentor transition. This theory is drawn solely from book canon and interpretation. Let's go back to the actual victors that we know about. Coriolanus' tribute was Lucy Gray. Lucy Gray won the 10th Hunger Games largely through cheating with Coriolanus' help. She used rat poison, an idea that came from Coriolanus himself. The first tribute killed by the poison was Woof from District 8. Lucy Gray placed rat poison in water and dropped it as bait. Woof drank it unintentionally and died. Lucy Gray eliminated Tritch using a snake viper moth, one of Dr. Gaull's creation. The snakes should have killed Lucy Gray too. They didn't because Coriolanus cheated again. He secretly placed a handkerchief with Lucy Gray's scent into the snake tank so the moths would recognize her and spare her. And this act drew her closer to victory. Later, Lucy Gray poisoned Ripper. Lucy Gray deliberately exhausted him, knowing he would eventually need water. When he drank from the poisoned puddle, it killed him. Lucy Gray called this a mercy healing. Because Jessup, the male tribute from District 12, had earlier spat in Reaper's eyes, infecting him with rabies, but we don't know the actual truth. This final act secured her victory, and that's why Lucy Gray isn't just a victor. She is the first victor of the games as a system built on manipulation, a system that would evolve into mentorship, celebrity, branding, and lifelong captivity. The next victor we're going to be talking about is Mags. Mags is the winner of the 11th Hunger Games. She is from District 4, the fishing district. When Katniss Everdeen missed Mags in catching fire in the 75th Hunger Games, She notices that Max has garbled speech. This may suggest she suffered stroke, but it's also understandable when you consider what Max lived through. She survived the Hunger Games. She watched tributes from her district die year after year. She endured decades of emotional trauma. That kind of long-term psychological and emotional damage changes a person. Because she is from District 4, she would have been highly skilled in aquatic survival. She is an expert at making fish hooks, understanding water currents, and keeping herself afloat for long periods. If her arena was aquatic, or even partially aquatic, Max would have had a natural advantage. Rather than overpowering other tribals, she may have won by outlasting them. As the oldest victor District 4 ever produced, Max served as both mentor and protector, and this becomes brutally clear during the 75th Hunger Games. Max volunteers to take the place of Annie Cresta, knowing Annie is mentally fragile and cannot survive another arena. Her decision isn't about survival, it's about protection. Max is also a maternal figure to Finnick. In Catching Fire, Finnick confirms he cannot leave Max behind because she's one of the few people who genuinely cares about him. Honestly, this is one of the reasons I loved Finnick. Max represents safety, kindness, something real. I believe Max volunteered for two reasons. First, to protect Annie. Second, to help in any way she can for a positive uprising that had been quietly forming for decades. By volunteering, she placed herself inside a moment where change could finally happen. In the end, Finnick saves Peeta and lets Max die. This choice isn't cruelty, it's necessity. And I believe it was driven by the rebellion itself, by the knowledge that some lives were being sacrificed for something larger than any one person. This is how Max gave everything, including her life. The next victor we're going to talk about is Woof. Woof is an elderly victor from District 8, the textile district. He likely won his games in the earliest years, possibly not long after Max. By the time of the 75th Hunger Games, Woof is clearly suffering severe mental and sensory decline, hard of hearing, disoriented. Often unaware of what's happening, in Catching Fire, Katniss observes Woof repeatedly trying to stuff poisonous insects into his mouth, an unsettling detail that suggests long-term trauma, cognitive damage, or dementia caused by his games. Woof is among the first victor to die at the cornucopia in the 75th Hunger Games, killed almost immediately, and his death exposes one of the cruelest truths of the quarrel. Even victors who are no longer physically or mentally capable of survival are still forced back into the arena. Woof is proof that in Panem, victory does not mean freedom, it means prolonged suffering. The next victor on my list is Ceda. Ceda is a victor from District 11, the agricultural district. Katniss described her as looking almost as though she could be from the same. District 11 shares boundary with 12. Maybe there are some genetics involved. Olive skin, straight black hair streaked with silver. Only her golden brown eyes mark her as from another district. Although her description in the book is quite different from what we finally see in the movie, but I personally don't mind. By the time of the 75th Hunger Games, Ceda is around 60. Yes, she appears strong and healthy. Unlike many victors, she shows no sign of turning to alcohol. She's warm, jovial, openly kind. Ceda embraces Katniss when they meet before the 75th Games because she remembers and deeply respects Katniss' kindness towards Rue. Katniss considers an alliance with Ceda during the 75th Hunger Games, but she hesitates. The hesitation isn't trust, it's emotion. She cannot bear the thought of watching Ceda die the same way Rue did. Peeta supports this alliance. I actually supported it, but it never really happened. And that shows Ceda has a welcoming energy. Unfortunately, Ceda is among the first to die at the cornucopia in the 75th Games. Her death reinforces the brutality of the Quell. Even strong, capable, compassionate victors are discarded. And it's possible Ceda won her original games through knowledge of edible plants, much like Rue's survival skills, but those skills could never protect her from the capital. Ceda's story is a quiet tragedy. Kindness, strength, and wisdom offer no protection in the Hunger Games. Victory only delays the suffering. The next victor we're going to be talking about is the smartest victor in the history of Panem, the most intelligent victor, Beetee. Beetee is the winner of the 34th Hunger Games. He was from District 3, the technology district. He won by creating an electronic trap that electrocuted the remaining tributes. Beetee is known for turning wiring into deadly weapons, but where did he get the wires in the 34th Hunger Games from? The book don't clearly say, so I have two strong possibilities. First, Beetee obtained wires from Capitol drones. We have already seen District 3 tributes manipulate Capital Tech in the 10th games. Tesla and Sec use drones as weapons by hacking and redirecting them. So Beetee dismantling drones for wiring is possible, which may have been the Capitol system that he tampered with and was punished for. Second, he smuggled wires into the arena. Either way, his victory came from intelligence. After his victory, Beetee was punished for tampering with Capitol communication systems, which I believe may have been the drones. The book don't clearly explain what he did, only that the Capitol deemed him too valuable to kill. The Capitol likely needed his expertise, so they punished his son instead. Beetee was forced to mentor his son during the 50th Hunger Games. That alone shows what the Capitol truly is. Beetee becomes one of the earliest contributors to rebellion in the 50th Games timeline. Alongside Plutarch Heavensby, he helped lay groundwork for resistance, which started decades ago. The rebellion didn't begin suddenly, it was built slowly through victors who understood the system well enough to break it. During the 75th Games, we see Beetee in close alliance with Wireless because they are from the same district and had been working together for the uprising groundwork dating back to the 50th Games. And he was also Wireless' mentor. They were aligned long before the 75th Hunger Games arena. Beetee didn't just win his games, he learned how the system worked and spent the rest of his life learning how to destroy it. The next victor is Brutus. Brutus was from District 2, one of the career districts. District 2 produces career tributes trained from youth, and Brutus fully embodied that system. He won through brutal strength. His games are believed to be the 48th Hunger Games. By the 75th Games, he was around 40, and unlike many victors, he volunteers to return. Katniss makes it clear Brutus could hardly wait to get back in. The arena isn't trauma to him, it's where he feels alive. He didn't numb himself with alcohol, he embraced the games. Brutus wanted Katniss as an ally, possibly because of her bow skills. Haymitch actually appreciated that because it shows how dangerous and impressive Katniss was. During the Quell, he was part of the career pack, Gloss, Cashmere, and Enobaria. In the end, Peeta kills Brutus. Brutus is the last tribute to die in the arena, and his death marks the end of the Capitol's version of the games because after Brutus falls, the arena is destroyed. The next victor on my list to talk about is Chaff. Chaff won the 45th Hunger Games. In the 75th Games, Katniss notes he never stays out of a fight and he sighs frequently like he is already exhausted by the world. Chaff is one of Haymitch's closest friends, and like Haymitch, he took to drinking after victory. Physically, he's dark-skinned, around 2 meters tall, missing one hand. His arm ends in a stump from losing it during his games. He's also one of the tributes who genuinely unsettled me. When he first meets Katniss, he kisses her on the mouth, and I remember internally shouting boundaries, but that's a story for another day. Chaff survives deep into the third quarterquell, but near the end he's killed by Brutus. We don't know much details about Chaff's original games, but losing a hand is enough to tell us how brutal it must have been for him and how life-changing it was. The next victor on my list of victors is Palladium Barker. Palladium Barker won the 46th Hunger Games. This is revealed in Sunrise on the Reaping. Palladium is believed to be related to Panache, based on their shared surname Barker. Panache was a tribute from District 1 during the 50th Games. The books don't explicitly confirm the relationship, but shared surname strongly suggests family connection, especially in Panem, where legacy and lineage matter. We don't know much about Palladium's gains, but he likely won as a trained career tribute. Just like Panache, he would have had good strength and resistance. The next victor on my list is Wireless, our TikTok. Wireless won the 49th Hunger Games. She's from District 3, the technology district. Her arena was filled with shiny reflective surfaces. Lakes reflected the sky. Clouds reflected back at the ground. Everything overlaid with mirrors. When the tributes entered the arena, they immediately lost bearing. Even navigating to the giant silver cornucopia was treacherous. A tribute would reach for a weapon and grab only air. They would dodge an attacker only to run into a sword. Most tributes went insane, but not Wireless. She maneuvered towards the cornucopia and collected supplies where none appeared to exist. Later, she discovered a blind spot where she could see others, but none could see her. Even game makers couldn't reach her with supplies. Wireless embarrassed them in their own arena. When only Wireless and the boy from District 6 remained, Wireless stood up, revealing herself. The boy leaped at her, misjudged space, cracked his head and drowned, because the arena was the opposite of what it appeared. Wireless won not with strength, not with violence. She never fought. She never directly killed anyone. Wireless won using only intelligence. The next victor we're going to be talking about is Haymitch Abernathy, the victor of the 58th Hunger Games, the Quarterquell. Haymitch won the 58th Hunger Games where tributes were doubled. He's from District 12, the poorest district, and from the poorest side, the same. He entered the games pretending to be a rascal because Snow was already monitoring him due to earlier defiance. In reality, Haymitch wanted to destroy the arena, guided by Plutarch Heavensby and Beetee. His mentor were Wireless and Max because the only surviving victor from District 12, Lucy Baird, vanished. Haymitch's arena was deceptively beautiful, filled with orchards. But everything could kill you. The only safe consumption was cornucopia supply and rainwater. Even the air made tribute drowsy. Haymitch nearly died drinking from a stream poisonous. He realized after seeing a rabbit die. Thankfully, he had a charcoal tablet from the cornucopia. He learned charcoal as a remedy from his grandmother, and although we never met you, thank you, Grandma. Haymitch's first attempt to destroy the arena by blowing up the water tank caused an earthquake, which was temporary. In his second attempt, he found a generator at the edge, protected by a force field. He discovered something crucial. When he threw a rock at the force field, it rebounded back at him. Near the end, only Haymitch and a female tribute from District 1 remained. Haymitch had been wounded in the abdomen by her axe. Holding his intestines in, he sprinted towards the cliff as her axe was about to strike. Haymitch fell. The axe flew over him and into the cliff, hit the force field, rebounded and buried itself in her head. And I believe Haymitch used the cliff as his final act of survival. By the end, he didn't even want survival anymore, rascal. He wanted to do something that would make Leonardo proud, my Lenore. So he blew up the force field. The blast rebounded, threw him back, caused significant damage. And I believe this is how Plutarch and Beetee gathered critical data on how to destroy an arena protected by force field. Haymitch didn't know his efforts would be edited out. He didn't know his family and his lover would pay the price. Afterwards, he drowned sorrow in white liquor while mentoring tributes, and eventually he became mentor of Peeta and Katniss, whose games were well returned to. The next victor on my list is Lyme. Lyme is a victor from District 2. Katniss says she won over a generation ago. I believe she likely won a few years after Haymitch. Lyme is middle-aged, possibly 50s. She likely won through career advantage. After victory, she may have regretted choices, possibly why she later becomes involved in rebellion leadership in District 2. She takes the rebel team on a virtual tour of the North, explains layout, defenses, fortification. She recounts the rebels' previous failed attempt to seize it. Lyme kept a low profile after winning the games. Katniss wonders what the capital did to her. We know the capital sells victors as commodities. Lyme's character becomes clear during the North planning. She suggests workers inside should at least be given a chance to surrender. Gale overrules her, arguing District 12 was never given that chance before being bombed. That moment shows Lyme is measured, human, empathetic, and Gale's psychology is a story for another day. We do not know what happened to Lyme, but we do know she did not survive the second rebellion because when Haymitch rounded up the remaining victors after the rebellion, she wasn't present. The next victor on my list is Blight. Blight was a male victor from District 7. We don't know much about his games, but we do know he was close to Johanna. Johanna confirms he was from home after he hits the force field and dies in the 75th Hunger Games. He may have won the games in his own timeline through strength and axe skills. District 7 tributes are powerful and skilled in wielding cutting tools. The next on my list is Cecelia. Cecelia was a victor from District 8, around 30, built a family. She had 3 children. One of the saddest moments is watching her detach from them as they run towards her during the reaping of the 3rd Quarterquell. She dies early at the cornucopia in the 75th Games. Her victory likely came a few years after Haymitch. Since she's so young, her story is brief but devastating. She represents something rare, a life rebuilt, a family formed, taken back in seconds. The next victor on my list is Enobaria. Enobaria won the 62nd Games. She's around 30 by the 75th Hunger Games. During her games, she killed by ripping a tribute's throat open with her teeth after being crowned. She had her teeth sharpened into gold inlaid fangs. The capital admired her. In the quell, she's not interested in rebellion. She and Brutus even seem to enjoy themselves. After the arena destruction, Katniss being Katniss includes Enobaria on the list of victors to be spared by coin. In the end, Enobaria was protected by Mockingjay's deal, made by Katniss to spare them following the uprising success. Enobaria voted yes for the Hunger Games to continue, but this time with capital children. Her vote suggests she may have come to see who the real enemy is, and she detested the capital for what they took from her. The next on my list are victors of Panem that are also siblings. They are both from District 1. Gloss won the 63rd Hunger Games, while Cashmere won the 64th. Gloss was killed with throwing knives. He likely won through career alliances and sponsors, plus looks. It's possible he later mentored Cashmere. In the 75th Hunger Games, Gloss kills Wireless. Katniss kills Gloss by shooting an arrow into his temple, retaliation for Wireless. Two victors from the same family were sent back into the arena. The capital's unspoken promise of safety was broken. Cashmere dies when Johanna buries an axe blade into her chest in the 75th Hunger Games. The next victor on my list is one of my favorite victors. The 65th Hunger Games victor, Finnick Odair. Finnick won the 65th Hunger Games at 14, one of the youngest victors District 4 ever produced. Katniss describes him as handsome, bronze-haired, sea-green eyes, a living legend. In his game, he was part of the career tributes. But training doesn't explain his overwhelming sponsor attention. He never lacked supplies. Within a week, tributes realized he was the one to kill. Too late. When he received a trident from sponsors, it was game over. He wove a net from vines, entangled opponents, and killed them with a trident. The capital adored him. They watched him. They desired him. They couldn't touch him at 14, but after 2 years, they could. Finnick didn't ask for luxury in return. He asked for information, secrets to use one day. Capital citizens gave him what he wanted, and he gave them what they demanded. Finnick later finds love with Annie. They marry, but in the second rebellion, Finnick is killed by lizard moths. His victory is tragic. He lived without freedom. And when he finally tested something close to it, through Annie, it was taken. Let's talk about Annie Cresta. Annie Cresta won the 70th Hunger Games. She was a career tribute from District 4. In her games, the game makers triggered an earthquake. The dam broke and the arena flooded. Annie outlasted tributes who drowned because she's from the fishing district, but victory came at a terrible cost. She watched her district partner beheaded. After that, she isolated herself even before the arena fully flooded. Following her games, Annie couldn't tell what was real. Finnick helped her separate reality from illusion. They loved each other, they married. Then Finnick is taken. During the vote on Capital Children Hunger Games, Annie votes no. Despite everything, she never lost humanity. The next victor on my list is Johanna Messing. Johanna Messing won the 71st Hunger Games. She is the only living female victor from District 7. She used deception, pretended weak, helpless. Others underestimated her. She ambushed them when they least expected it. Highly skilled with an axe, she survived by letting everyone think she couldn't. After the games, the capital took everything from her. That's why she truly had nothing to lose in the third quarter. She was the one who nicknamed Wireless Nuts. And Beetee votes. It wasn't a surprise that Johanna joined the uprising. After the third quarter, she was captured and tortured. Later, she was rescued alongside Peeta and Annie. She relied on muffling while recovering, leading to addiction. In the end, Johanna voted yes for the games to continue, referencing Snow's granddaughter. That vote shows how far she has been pushed. She didn't want justice. She wanted the capital to feel exactly what it did to her. The 74th Hunger Games is the only Hunger Games that produced two victors, and one of the victors is Peeta Mellark, the bread boy. He was the winner of the 74th Hunger Games. Peeta was from District 12, the marching side, not starving like the Thing. He had a crush on Katniss. He saved her once by giving her bread when she was starving, long before the ripping. Peeta was fluent in winning people over. During his interview with Caesar Flickerman, Peeta confessed his love for Katniss on live TV. That was his strategy to receive sponsors and also the truth. His words, "I just keep wishing I could think of a way to show the Capitol they don't own me, that I'm more than just a piece in their games," revealed his humanity. Peeta's survival is strategic. Strength isn't only combat, it's people. He's physically strong from lifting flour sacks. Also an artist, he's highly skilled at camouflage. I believe it came from decorating cakes. He joined the carriers to protect Katniss. When injured, he camouflaged himself. Katniss saved him. He would have died of sepsis otherwise. Rules changed to allow 2 victors from the same district, then revoked. Instead of killing each other, Katniss pulled out nightlock berries, choosing death over killing the other. They were both willing to die, and in that moment, the Capitol lost control and crowned them both victors. In the 75th Hunger Games, Peeta is captured after the arena bombing, tortured, hijacked. His family burned in District 12 when Snow destroyed it. The Capitol took 3 things from Peeta: his leg, his mind, and his family. Katniss Everdeen won the 74th Hunger Games alongside Peeta after the nightlock moment. That moment would have left the Capitol victorless. Defeat for the Capitol. Haymitch did something similar years earlier. Katniss is from District 12. She lived in the poorest area, the same. Katniss volunteered for Prim in the 74th Hunger Games. She is skilled in the use of bow and arrow, learned from her father Baird Everdeen, sharpened through hunting. Katniss is the only tribute known to have taken life before the games. Not human life, but animal life. At the start, she could shoot arrows, but that alone wasn't enough for sponsors. But Peeta made her likable, and Senna was icing on the cake. In the 74th Hunger Games, Katniss focused on self-preservation until Rue. She made her first kill because of Rue. Marvel killed Rue. Katniss killed Marvel in retaliation. When the rules changed to allow 2 victors, she searched for Peeta for an alliance. After finding Peeta, she stopped living only for herself, started living for 2. They won through the nightlock berries stunt. The nightlock berries were poisonous berries. They wanted to eat it, although they were likely hoping the Capitol would stop them, and they did. The Capitol crowned them both victors. In her second games, the 75th Hunger Games, Katniss blew up the arena and became the Mockingjay later on. In the second rebellion, she lost Prim, the sister she volunteered for. In the end, she found shared happiness with Peeta. They built a family. These are the victors of the Hunger Games, but the truth is, Panem never had victors. It only had survivors and tools and sacrifices and symbols, because the Hunger Games was never truly about winning. It was only meant for control. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel and see you next time.